Hello, friends! Welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Welcome to Newb Quest. Today's episode, we're going to build an app using the Marvel API, and the idea is it's going to be based on Infinity War, and we're going to build a Thanos snap app. So if you're familiar with the famous Thanos, I don't know. Tony will tell me. Say hello, Tony.
Hello.
What's the How do you say? Is it Thanos? Or
I believe it's Thanos.
Thanos. Okay, so the Thanos snap where he just kills a bunch of people. We're gonna build an app based around that. Say hello, Tony. There's his face. Cool. And let's say hello to all the people in the chat. There are a ton of people watching. I don't know if I can get to everyone, but let's spend a minute just saying hello, welcoming everyone to the show. Hello, Awkward Dev. What's up? Hey, Dan. Rohit. It's almost the middle of the night, but they'll watch early in the morning. But it's good to see you again. It's been a while. There's Levy. Hello, Ramsey. Hello, Jose from Spain. That's awesome. Sadcarsm? Looks like sarcasm? I don't know. Best tutor I've seen so far. I've downloaded all your Vue tutorials. Awesome. Glad to hear it. There's RabbitWorks JavaScript. Ran is back. Time to relax and watch CJ do the work. Hello, Hermano. Welcome to the stream. Henrique. He's the new guy. And Emmanuel. And Wally, welcome to the stream. Kaizen, it's been so long. Welcome back. Hello, Alka. Ole, hello. Black Lizard, hello. Evan, hello. Mayer, welcome back. Hello, Roberto. Hello, Rudy. Hello, Tony, but you're on the stream. You're also in the chat. Jackarat, welcome. Alka with the tractor emoji. Tractor emojis to pay respects for all the people that are going to die today. Who else? Skelly, welcome to the stream. And Carlos, welcome. Bob's Paradox. It's been a while. And hey, Bob, can you share the link to this stream on r/watchpeoplecode? Because I know you've done that before, so please do that. Levi, hello. Mohammed, welcome. Milan. There's just so many. Okay.
They keep coming.
They keep coming. It's okay. I'll try to say hello to everyone. Hello, Henrique. Hello, Andrew Lane. He made it. Durkaral, hello. Alka says hello to Tony's face. Rudy says say hello to me. I think I said hello to Rudy. Hello, Rudy. Hello, Krisu. Olgert. Rostel. Einar. I could be doing this all day. I'm going to save my spot. Shulian, welcome to the stream. Chandra, hello. Mauricio? Knooks? I think people are just messing with me now because they just want me to say this stuff forever. Oh, you got a shaker?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have like I want a drum set to be like shh.
Oh, okay, cool. No I think I'm gonna call it there on saying hello to all the peoples. But just feel free to throw messages, chat while this thing is happening, and I'll be sure to say hello as well. All right, so we mentioned kind of like the premise of the app. We are going to be dealing with the Marvel API. Like, really, the main point of this episode is to show you, like, as a new developer, how would you go about, you found an API that you want to interact with. How do you go about browsing the documentation? How do you go about calling the API? How do you build an app around that API? And we've come up with a fun idea for an app we're going to build around it. So I guess if you're not familiar, Tony, do you want to tell the story behind the Infinity Gauntlet? I have not seen Infinity Wars, and all I know about it I read this morning, but tell us, Tony.
So I'll explain it the best I know. I mean, I saw the movie. I'm not like a huge comic fan, so we're probably going to get like wrecked in a chat for butchering this. But basically, the premise is that Thanos is essentially trying to bring balance to the universe, right? So like, his like rationale is like he goes from planet to planet, at least in the movie, and like kind of wipes out like half the planet, kind of at random. And the idea is that it like buys the planet more time to, reuse its resources wisely and all this stuff. And he rationalizes that like this is the only way to bring balance to the universe. And essentially, like, he can't go from planet to planet just killing everybody. He gets these things called the Infinity Stones, which he wields in this gauntlet. And basically, this allows him to have like the ultimate power to kind of do whatever he wants, which he uses to, at the snap of his fingers, wipe out at random half of the people in the universe.
Yeah, so spoiler, I probably should have put spoiler in the YouTube video title. If you haven't seen the movie, that's what happens. A lot of people die. So like that's the backstory, and if there are any comic book nerds, or not comic book aficionados in the chat or watching live, please feel free to correct us at any point if we get any of these facts wrong. We're just using what we know. But here's the idea for the app. So first thing is we're going to get an API key. We're going to figure out how to call the API. The Marvel API is really cool. It gives you back like all the characters from the Marvel like comic book universe. You can get images of the characters. You can get all of the comic books that they were in. There are various events. There are various series, but all kinds of data that you can get back. And that's how we're going to get access to like who was there during the Infinity War. So once we figure that out, we're going to get all the characters for Infinity War. We have decided today that we're going to use vanilla.js, so there won't be any server. We're just going to build this all with client-side JavaScript. We're going to get all the characters associated with the Infinity War, and then show all of them on the page, and we're going to play some dramatic music, like it's about to happen. The Thanos snap is about to happen. And then we'll have a button that's called Balance the Universe, and when you click Balance the Universe, we'll fade in this image here, which is from the... I think it's the Infinity Gauntlet series, where Thanos is actually, he snaps his finger, so we'll fade this in, it'll disappear, and then we'll play the Funeral March by Chopin, which is like dramatic, sad music, and then we'll just start to fade out 50% of the characters on the screen. So that's the goal of the app we're going to build today. It's going to be fun. I guess a little bit of backstory. So like I did try to do some research this morning, and apparently there are multiple series. Like there is the Infinity War comic book series, but there's also the Infinity Gauntlet comic book series, and the snap actually happens in the Infinity Gauntlet series, whereas the movie is named Infinity War. So, I don't know. Ultimately, we just want like 50 or so Marvel characters on the page so we can kill half of them.
I think we should, in order to pay homage to the movie, we need to have like some text right after the snap that appears that says, "I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark."
I don't. Okay.
Dot.
Is that what happened? Wait, what?
That's what Spider-Man says after the snap, and it's real sad.
Oh, I saw that on YouTube.
Mr. Stark.
Mr. Stark.
Stack. Mr. Stack Exchange.
Tony Stark. Okay, so that's the plan. Let me catch up on the chat. There's probably like way too much, but let's catch up. Lots of people. Hello, Deborah from Nigeria. That's awesome. Welcome to the stream. Stefano, ciao. Hey, Sean, welcome to the stream. Hello, Trevor. Somebody said they're going to be really mad if I don't say hi, so I have to find their name. Hello, Amr. Hello, Chandra. Welcome to the stream. Hello, Human. Welcome to the stream. Norm, welcome. Kaizen says, nice duck. Do you want to show your duck really quick?
Oh, yeah. Somebody asked a while back in the Discord if I had ever 3D printed a duck, and the answer is no, but now, yeah, I did make one after I got my 3D printer.
Yeah.
This is actually designed by Sam.
Oh, like a friend from high school?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
same. Like I've used this on like one of my album covers.
That's awesome. Okay. Hello, Chandra. Hello, Jan. Maybe I think it's a new Jan. Born Sinner. Welcome to the stream. Jillian, welcome. Julian, welcome. Rudy, hello. Codroid, welcome to the stream. Himanshu, Andrew Lane, Rostel, Sergi, welcome back. Full Stack Developer, also known as Subin, welcome to the stream. Kaizen is saying, Tony's duck and my ADD made me listen to a maximum of 3 words. So I'm glad we took a pause to describe what that duck was for.
Yeah, this is like my fidget spinner.
Hey, Robin, welcome to the stream. I might have missed someone. Eric from Mexico. If I missed you, I'm so sorry, but there are over 100 people watching right now. I appreciate you. Let's do this. So first thing is we need to get an API key. I've already done this, but I'll show how we would do that. So you can see my screen, Tony?
Yes, I can
cool.
see it.
So this is the Marvel API. I actually had to set up a developer account. So let's see what this looks like if you go to it like in a tab where you're not logged in. Yeah, this. So if you go to this web page, you will see you do not have an API key. You can view the documentation here, but you will not be able to test the API key, calls. So what you can do is you can sign up on their website. So if you go to get a key, This will show you, like, you sign up. Once you've signed up and agreed and done all that good stuff, you will then have an account. And once you have an account, you get access to an API key. So here on my page, I can go to my developer account, and I have a custom style installed, so you can't actually see my API key. But when you go to this page, you will see your public and private key, and this is what you can use to contact the API. So, but once you're logged in, once you have an API key, you can actually start to browse the interactive documentation, which is really cool because it allows you to test out the API without even having to put it into Postman or write some code to do it. Let's take a quick stretch.
Are we going to be deploying this?
I think so. I'd like to. Yeah. That way anybody can bring balance to the universe. I might come back to this later, but one thing you want to do here under authorized referrers is add where are you going to be making the requests from? Right now, we're going to be making those requests from localhost, but in a bit, when we do deploy, I'll have to add my deployed URL here so that my API key works there as well. They also tell you that they want you to describe your project. So mine is just demonstrating building a front-end app using an existing API for new developers. That's mine. You could build really anything you want with this API. There's tons of data associated with it. So once you have an account, once you have an API key, you can go to interactive documentation. And now this shows you all of the things you can do and all of the things available in their API. So you can get characters from the Marvel Universe. You can get a specific character. You can get all comics for a specific character appears in. There's events, series, there's comics, there's creators, which are like the authors of the comics. So much data, so many endpoints, which is pretty sweet. And our first thing, so we got an API key. Right now, we won't necessarily have to talk about how we're going to be authorizing it. But they do have the documentation that talks about if you're making these requests from a server side, you will need to basically do some hashing of your key to make the requests. But if you're making it from client-side applications, which is what we're doing because we're using client-side JavaScript, all you have to do is make sure that your domain is in that box that I showed a second ago, and then you'll be able to make requests against the API. So that should be good. Now let's browse the API. Our ultimate goal is to get all the characters associated with Infinity War. So just, I guess let's kind of like spitball, Tony, like where should we start first? Like, I mean, so like we want characters from Infinity War. How can we find Infinity War to begin with? And we can kind of like click in here and see like the kind of data that you get back when you do make a request like this. And so like for characters, you can actually search for a specific character. Wait a second. Oh no. Zoom is telling me that my meeting is going to end in 10 minutes.
What does that mean?
I think that was happening because we have 3 users on it right now.
Who's the third user?
My streaming machine, you, and then my laptop over here. You know what? Okay, we have 10 minutes. We may need to restart the call. That's okay. But what are you thinking, Tony? Like, which one of these might we look at first, or how can we approach this?
So I guess we can look at just being able to call the characters, and then from there just kind of get the comic that's associated with what we're doing.
Okay, so if we look at characters here, we can with this interactive documentation. This is actually something called Swagger, which is pretty cool. I haven't covered it on the stream before, but you can actually build your own APIs that have documentation like this. But it's really cool because it describes all of the stuff that comes back. You can actually put in specific query parameters, and it'll show you what the URL is that you can make the request against. So I guess what I'm thinking is, like, let's search for the Thanos character. And if we find Thanos, we can see any series and comics that he's been in, and then go from there. So okay. We just put his name in here, and then we say, try it out. This is going to, and you can see the URL here that it generated. Oh, you can see my API key. Don't use it, please. But you can see that it's saying it wants to go against the character's endpoint. The name we passed in is Thanos, and then it's passing in my API key, and then this is the response that it got back. So his name is Thanos. He is the Mad Titan, a melancholy, brooding individual consumed with the concept of death. And He has a thumbnail image associated with him. There are like comics. Here, I'm gonna share control, Tony. So feel free to just like scroll a little bit. Do you have control now, Tony?
Yeah, let me see.
Yeah, so like scroll a bit and like find either like an event or a series that would probably the one we want. I am going to also like catch up on the chat. So many people. Welcome to the stream. This is awesome. A question about your duck. How long did it take to print, Tony?
I think this guy took like 3.5 hours.
Oh wow. You have like a home printer?
Yeah, it's just like a little whatchamacallit. I don't even remember the brand. Maker Select thing. Mono price, I think.
Cool.
Yeah, I think this might be at the Avengers and the Infinity Gauntlet.
Okay, and so these specifically, we can see these are series, yeah. And I think we can get all the characters associated with the specific series. So there is the Avengers and the Infinity Gauntlet. One thing I saw earlier, there are also, not stories, but events. Yeah, events. And then there's an event like Infinity War.
That might be good to use.
Okay. So we'll check that out in a second. Full Stack Developer asks, this is for beginners, right? Yes, it is. So it's all about, like, you've kind of never done this before or you've only done it a few times, and, like, how would you approach this as a beginner? And Tony is a complete and total beginner, so that's why we have him on the line. Cool. And hello, Merchan. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, so people can get my public key, but they don't have my private key. And just so I don't potentially run out of... Because so the thing is, you are limited by the number of requests you can make. So I'm going to delete the local host there just for now. And, I mean, just so... Somebody might use my API key. I don't know. They've seen it. If they want to be mean, they could do it. Hopefully, we just don't run out of 3,000 requests today. If we do, we could probably just create a new account, or Tony can create an account. We can use his key. Okay. So we did find in here there are events. There is the... we found the Infinity War event. Yeah. And you'll notice that this itself has a resource URI that says events/29. So what this means is that Infinity War has the event ID of 29. So if we find the event API in this documentation, we can pass in 29 and get that specific event. So let's do that. So yeah, so notice right there are events and then events/some given ID. So fetches a single event by ID. So now that we know the event is 29, we can try it out here. So let's try 29. Get it? Infinity War, the Magus, the purged evil side of Adam Warlock, believed to have been dead, has returned in order to collect the Infinity Gems and recreate the Infinity Gauntlet itself. So I guess I'm not familiar. In the Infinity War movie, does he actually, like, assemble the gauntlet, or he's, like, searching for all these stones?
Yeah, like, he's been searching for the stones, like, in, like, the movies leading up to this, and in Infinity War, he's gotten all of the stones, and he's had a gauntlet made.
Okay.
He puts them all together and it snaps.
Cool. So I'd like this. Let's see what other endpoints they have. So very conveniently, they have event ID/character. So this will give you all the characters associated with that event. I think let's hold on to this one, but let's also take a look at the one that you found, which is like the Infinity Gauntlet. It might have been the
that comic's from 2018, so that might be like maybe some sort of like comic version of the movie. So it'd be better
it might be better. Okay, but I'm just gonna copy this URL because eventually this is the URL that we're going to request from the client side. That might be the one that we use, but let's figure out if we can find something else. So this is the one where we request Thanos, and you found, let's see, Avengers and the Infinity Gauntlet. So this is a series. So this series has ID of 2404. Let me just copy that. Okay, Tony, find an API that will give us all the characters for that series.
Okay. Get comic ID. Try this one right here.
This might be it, but it did say it was a series. So let's see if there's... I'm curious. Like, what was that exactly then?
Maybe that, like, series has a comic ID.
Potentially, yeah. So, series, available, collection URI. So... I mean, that's the URL that we want. We might just play around with this on the front end because, but do we see anything here associated with series?
No.
Oh, wait. Here? Ooh, there it is. There it is. Okay. Yeah, so series ID characters. And so here we can specify the series ID. In this case, it's 24044. Let's try it. Okay, and there are only 6 characters. Yes, I don't like that. So there's the Avengers, but it's a character, but it's like an entire group. Our Zoom is about to end like any second now, Tony. Honestly, though, let me see how much pro Zoom is because I might just get it. Bear with us. Our screen sharing is about to cut out. Hey, why not? $14.99 a month. Let's do it. Oh. I'm on this account? Who's hosting it? Please bear with us. I know. Oh, there it goes. Okay, Tony's gone. So here's what I'm gonna do. If you give me like 1 minute, I'm actually gonna buy the pro version of this screen sharing app, and then we'll get back going. In the meantime, let me call Tony on Discord. Everything's going wrong. Sergi says, Tony, I don't feel so good, CJ. I think that was a reference to like Peter Pan dying. Are you there, Tony? Let me make sure my output device is this. Okay. The people of the world can hear you. Say hello.
Hello, hello.
Okay. We'll keep you on Discord for a second while I figure out this Zoom thing. And I apologize to everyone out there in the world watching. Last time, I think they gave us like a free pro for like 1 session. Cool. All right, 1 moment. I'll be right back. Tony, keep them entertained. You can read from the chat too if you want.
Okay. I'll respond, I guess. All right. Let's see. Peter Parker. Yeah, that's kind of how it felt. It just kind of disappeared. Blue switches are brown. Hello. Hello, Luis. Kaizen saying I lift. I haven't lifted weights in a while. I feel like every time we've done this stream, when we've used Zoom, there's always an issue.
Yeah. I'm back, by the way. Well, Zoom, like, works. Like, it has, like, really good screen share, it has really good video share, like, decent audio quality.
I'm not saying it's bad, I just think it's kind of interesting, like, there's always something with it. It's kind of just random.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think though, like when was the last time we did something with vanilla JavaScript on the Newb quest?
It's been a while. I don't know. I feel like we've been using Vue.js so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I got that entry-level design or web developer position.
Oh, the one that you applied to a while back?
Yeah, like I went in for that interview and they were like, all right, we're gonna submit your stuff, and I never heard back from it.
Oh wow.
Oh well. Love you.
Yeah, I actually was in a very long interview yesterday. Didn't end up getting that job, but I did accept an offer from another company. I'll share the news and more details with everyone when everything's more official. But I will be starting a job soon.
That's awesome. Are you gonna? What's your schedule gonna be like?
I don't know yet. I mean, it's a full-time job, so I definitely won't be streaming like during the daytime. But I'm gonna try to keep streaming at least like 3 or 4 days a week, especially on weekends. Okay, so I'm gonna hide my screen. I got the pro account, everyone. I got the pro account. So I'm hiding my screen. I'm gonna start sharing here. Mr. Tony, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Do you want to switch to the Zoom thing?
Yes. So click that link. You should be able to join the Zoom call.
All right, I'm gonna get off the call for a second.
See you there. Okay, I see it. Just a second. Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Tony?
Yeah.
Cool. So we're gonna share my screen.
Yeah, let me just turn you up a little bit. Cool. We're back.
Pretty sure crisis averted. Just a second though. Okay, we're still streaming. Tony's over there. Okay. Say something, Tony?
Something.
Say something more.
Something more.
Okay, I think we're back. That was a slight diversion, but thanks everyone for bearing with us. But our screen share is not going to time out now. Cool. But where we were was we just requested the series for Infinity Gauntlet 2018, and we found that there were only 6 characters associated with it. We have the Avengers.
I think these might be like groups of people though.
Yeah.
Like in the movie, like you have the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
And so that might be what they're doing here.
Okay, I think we're gonna go with the Infinity War event, like the first one that we found. It may not be exactly like the movie because like I mean the comic book is different from the movie and this API is dealing with the comic book, so I think we'll just go with that. And ultimately, what we ended up with was events slash ID 29, and that gives us characters for ID 29. So events 29 characters, and this gives us back all of the characters for ID 29. One thing to note here, though, is like notice in the response that came back, it says limit 20 and the total is 58. So there are actually 58 results or 58 characters, but we're only getting back 20. And so we can tell it here what we want the limit to be. And this, like one of the error codes here is limit can't be greater than 100. So we could just say, let's set the limit to 100 and we should get back all 58 characters in one request. It takes a little bit longer because it has to get more data. But
kind of crazy right now. There's like 130 people watching.
Oh wow, this might be the most in the history of Coding Garden. Welcome everyone.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say like I think the first time we did New Quest, it was like 30 people watching. So
or like maybe even less than that. I mean,
yeah, probably.
Like we did some episodes where like there were maybe 10 people talking. Someone may have used my API key. I don't know. It's taking a while. It's so long.
Try just using 58.
I mean,
for the
it's
count.
Spinning. Whoa. Okay. Something happened. Oh, it like literally froze the web page while I was requesting it. There we go. So we got it back.
Okay.
But you'll notice, yeah, now the URL changed to say limit 100, and we should get back all of the characters. I think this is what we want. Like, it may not have all of the ones that were in the movie, but at least it gives us 58 that we can actually show. So this is the URL that we will use. Okay, let's write some code. We found the API. Go ahead.
I was going to say there's the API key again.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's okay. Like right now it's limited so that people can't use it locally. We'll have to add that in a second. All right, let's set up the client. So actually we are using live share this time, but I do want here I'll do the terminal typing and Tony can do like we'll actually be able you'll see his cursor inside of VS Code, which will be cool. So I'm going to make a client directory. And then inside of the client directory, I'll make an index.html. And then we'll just set up a basic HTML template, call it Thanos snap. No style sheet, no main just yet. And let's just throw like an H1 that says Thanos snap. Oh, and check that out. You can see Tony's cursor. Like move around in this document, Tony.
Moving.
In index.html?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, there you are. Cool. And I'm going to use something called light server. Actually, I think I'll use live server. I don't have it installed, but I'll install it. So live server is just an auto-refreshing static HTTP server, which will serve up this file and automatically refresh anytime the file's changed. There we go. Okay, so we have a basic page. It says Thanos snap. Cool. Now, on this page, we want to make the request to this endpoint to get back all of those characters, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to need to make a fetch. We're going to need some JavaScript. One thing I'll do really quick, and I'm going to hide my screen, is I'm going to set it up so that we can make this request from my local machine. And I urge you, all the people out there watching, please don't use my API key, please. Cool. Okay, so let's do this. So Tony, please create. Actually, I don't know if you try creating a file. Can you create call it app.js in the client folder?
Yeah. Boom.
Awesome. Yeah, this is pretty sweet. Okay. Now in here, let's create a variable. So copy the API URL that we grabbed in the README. So copy that. And then in app.js, let's create a variable called characters URL and set it equal to that variable. So people in the chat are saying, please use skeleton CSS. I think we're going to try to do all the CSS from scratch today. Should be decent enough or easy enough. I don't know. Cool. Let's do single quotes.
Oh, CJ syntax.
Yeah, CJ syntax. Okay. So we have our URL, and now we want to make the request against it. Actually, though, so the documentation has the port in there. It has 443. We can actually leave that off, just because that's the default port for HTTPS. But now we want to request this URL to get back the data. So let's use fetch for this, which is built into the browser. So Tony, just do fetch, pass in characters URL. And then on the next line, do a dot then. So no semicolon, new line, exactly, Tony gets it. And inside the dot then, we'll get access to response. So just type response. And we know that this response will be JSON, so we're going to parse this as JSON. And then we can actually get access to the data associated with that. So let's do a dot then on there.
Question.
Yes, sir.
If we commit this, do we both get credit on the commit if we're both basically signing in on GitHub on here?
I don't think so, because the commits that we'll be doing right now are just going to be in my terminal. So okay. it would be under my account.
Okay. I was just curious. I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah, I don't think it will.
Okay. Because I know if normally if I were to edit a line, it would show I did that line. I'm just curious if that would work here. But okay. Yeah, all right, let's keep moving.
And so then do a dot then here, and we're going to get access to, let's just call this data. And then do a nice little arrow function with a body. And inside the body, let's just log the data. Cool. So when the page loads, we should see some data log, but we have to actually add this. So we have our JavaScript here. Now what we want to do is add this JavaScript to our index.html. So let's do that at the bottom here. We'll just add a script. The source will be app.js. And so when this page loads, it should attempt to make the request and then log out the data. Let's see what happens. So I'll open the DevTools. And we actually got back the data. Look at that. So when this page loads, it makes the request to that API. And this has a data property. It has a results array, and then look at that, all of the characters that might potentially die. Sweet. So we are on our way. There are some suggestions in the chat to use template strings and potentially environment variables. So we're going to be using vanilla JavaScript, no build tools, so there isn't really a way to hide our API key anyways. One thing I could do is create a API key variable and then use a template literal here. But I don't want to do that because then my API key will be really visible all the time here. I'll do that before I push it up to GitHub, but for now, I think we're good. So we're on our way, Tony. We're actually requesting data on the client, so that's awesome.
We might actually get done on time today.
We might. I don't know. It took us a lot to get here, and we have barely written any code, but it shouldn't be too bad. Now we want to show the images of all the characters on the page. Cool. So if we look back at this data that we're getting, every character has a thumbnail property with a path to that image. So let's pick a character, and we'll figure out how to get their image really quick.
Let's just pick the very first character.
Who is Adam Warlock?
Don't know.
blasphemy. Okay, so this is the URL, and I tried this earlier. If you try to request it, it's not actually an image. You have to build up the URL. So in their documentation, they show you what you can do with the images that you get back. So you can find this under like how-tos and then images, but it basically says like in our response, we'll give you the path to the image and the extension, but then it's up to you to build up the URL. So there are various sizes that you can request. So there's like portrait, standard, landscape. I think we use standard because this is like a square. And essentially what we can do is we can pick what size we want.
Yeah, I think we should do like maybe the medium size, and then we could just put their name like right underneath it.
Okay, so let's just see what we get back. So the idea is you take this thumbnail URL, you put the size that you want, and you do .jpg, and that should give you back
nothing.
Nothing. Did we do it right? Let's try again. So we'll take this, we'll remove the double quotes, we'll do slash, we'll put the one that we want. Let's just go like as large as possible, just for now, just so we can see the image. Like standard fantastic is 250 by 250.
Don't put JPEG, just.
But I want to.
Oh.
Cool.
Do you need JPEG on the end there?
That's what it says. So basically right here it says because we get back the extension in there.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
And so you pick the image variant you want and then put the extension on it. So that works. Basically what we could do is we could iterate over all of these characters, grab their thumbnail, put the size that we want on it, and then throw JPEG on the end and add it to the page. I think probably the one we want, because we're gonna have 58 characters on the page, or 57 if we're not including Thanos. So maybe we do, maybe 100 by 100 is what we want. Could be that standard medium isn't available. Oh, okay. How about that? Because what I'm imagining right now is just like a grid of like all of these characters, just like all on the page like that. But we might not even show their name. Maybe like on hover it gets a little bit bigger and then links out to like their Marvel page. But
is there an emoji for Snap?
I don't think so.
There better be. Hold on, Snap emoji.
Okay.
No, doesn't look like it. You could just have like a little picture of Thanos. Maybe.
Well, like my idea was, so I think I showed this a little bit earlier, was we show this image. Like basically this fades on top of everything, like it's about to happen.
Right. I'm just saying like the thing that like you click on, like Thanos is at the top, and like there's always like he's always like shown like just doing this like real intense like gritting teeth face.
So we can find his image. This is my break timer if you want to take a quick stretch, so, Tony. Yeah, people in the chat are mentioning like because we have live reload on, it might keep requesting the API every time we change the page. That's true. So I think one thing that I want to do is let's get just the data that we want. So we probably want the character name, the character image, and then like a link out to their Marvel webpage. That's pretty much all we need about all of the characters. So what we could do is iterate over our data to just get that, and then just use it locally. Then we don't have to call the API anymore, and that way we wouldn't have to worry about like the page loading every time. Just real quick though, I want to find the Thanos image.
Yeah, so we got to make sure like Thanos is on here, and we got to make sure that technically he is not killed.
Right. So he shouldn't appear in the grid of people.
Right.
Okay. So we can keep track. Like he has ID. That's his ID. But let's try to get his image really quick just to see what it looks like. And we'll do standard medium.jpg. There he is.
That's perfect.
So let's show this like at the top of the page, and then that will be what you click on to cause it to happen. Okay.
Can we do that thing where we make like the cursor like super big when you hover over it?
Definitely, yeah. That'd be fun. Or we could make it the Thanos hand, or like the gauntlet.
Oh, dude, yeah, that would be really
Okay,
cool.
so we need to find an image of the gauntlet, and like that will be what the cursor is. But then when you click Thanos, that's what does the snap. Yes, I love it. Okay, okay, Tony, create a styles.css in the client folder.
Sure thing. All right.
And Robin makes a good point. I think we'll do that right now. So essentially, the idea is to cache in local storage. So we prevent ourselves from fetching from the API. Okay, so in styles.css, let's just do some body styles. So let's target the body element.
Right. Should do a background of blue, because I think blue? Thanos is blue.
I wanted to do it black, like it's the abyss. Like people are just floating and they're about to die.
Okay.
So do background black, and then do margin 0 and padding 0. Cool. And before we add this CSS, I want to do a little bit of caching. So I'm going to show you how this is going to work. So when we get back the data, I'm actually going to store it in local storage. I'll just say like local storage dot character data will be json.stringify the data, like that. And here's what we'll do. So I want all of this to be in a function that's like get character data. And this will be in here. And ultimately we'll return the data. But what we want to do is say like if local storage dot character data exists, then we're just going to use what we already have. Otherwise, we're going to call the API. So basically, the first time this gets called, it will store it in local storage, and then the next time the page refreshes, it's just going to pull it right out of local storage. So here we'll just say return json.parse local storage.character data. And then now to call this, like when the page loads, we'll say get character data, and then we get back the character data, and we should be able to just log it here. So before we run this code, Tony, look at it, examine it, ask me any questions you have about it.
Okay.
Actually, let's just start at the top. So like start on line 4. Okay. What is that doing? And yeah.
So basically, we're seeing if we have we're getting our character data. If we have local storage that is character data, it's going to return parse JSON from our local storage.
Just a second. Got a €2 super chat from Jose. Thank you very much. He says, Marvel, ooh! Robin caught a thing. So technically what we need to do is a promise.resolve, because the way we're calling this below is we're expecting it to always return a promise. So basically what we're saying is if character data is in local storage, and local storage is a key value store and everything is strings. So that's why we have this JSON stringify and JSON parse. So basically if it's in there, we need to parse it out and then immediately resolve this promise with that data that was parsed. Otherwise we do what? Starting on line 8. Tell me, Tony.
Okay, so starting on line 8, it's going to fetch our character's URL, which we've defined above, and then it's going to respond with our JSON, and then get our data.
Mm-hmm. What happens on line 11?
Line 11, it's putting our JSON stuff into local storage.
Exactly, yeah. So data, if you remember, is like that big object with everything inside of it, and then when we stringify it, that turns it just into a string that we actually store in the browser here. And then line 12 is just returning the data that we actually got back. So down below, basically no matter what happens, line 18 will always log the character data. Either it came back from the API or either it came back from local storage.
Okay.
Cool. Let's just make sure that works. And now it should be really, really quick. So because it's in local storage, that data pops up instantly. So we don't even have to call the API anymore. And we're not using our quota for API requests, which is cool. Okay, the other thing we were doing is we have these styles. Let's bring those into our HTML. So right there, just throw a link tag.
All right. Oh, I'm trying to type on your screen and I have Visual Studio.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So index.
And then we want, I think it's just styles.css. Sweet. Okay, and just like that, nice black background, cool. And so now that we have that, let's throw, I thought we had Thanos image somewhere. Let's get his ID again, or his URL again. Thumbnail, this thing. We want the standard medium. Cool. So we're going to show Thanos at the top of the HTML. So like even instead of this H1, let's do this. Let's create a header. So just create a header element right there. Yep. And then inside of the header, let's just do an, I'll do this. Let's do an image tag. We'll set the source equal to Thanos because we know that's what it is. I'm going to set that to HTTPS just because later on when we deploy it'll need to be that. I hope that that works. Let's set that to Thanos. And let's see what happens. Cool. So it still works. There's our Thanos image. We can add some styles to the header just to like center this image. I think if we just do text align center, that might actually do it. Yeah, look at that. So Thanos is on the page. Now we just want to show like all the characters all the way across right below it. So for that, let's have, right below the header, let's add a main area, and this is where we're going to put all of the images. And like, I haven't mentioned this, Tony, but you have your editor set up for a 4-space tab. So it's like, it's not actually tabbing the same way as mine. I can't hear you. Are you muted? Well, I think you're muted in the software.
Hello?
Hey.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Okay. But yeah, I mentioned right now you have a 4-space tab and I have a 2-space tab. We could probably fix that. I don't know if we should. I don't know. But I think this main area is where we're just going to show all of the images. So let's just give this like a class of characters. And I think now we'll just iterate over the data and add an image for every single character here.
Okay.
So in our app.js, after we have gotten the character data, let's write a function to add characters to page. So yeah, right about there, just say function add characters to page. And that should take in, let's say this takes in character data. And now we need to figure out how to get access to those characters. So what we'll do is we'll say, okay, get character data, then add characters to page. Add characters to page gets access to character data. And let's actually just move this down. And here we'll just log character data like we were doing before. But essentially what we're doing here is we're using like promise chaining to make this a little bit easier to read. So like instead of putting all of that code in the .then, what we've done is essentially we're creating functions that describe each thing that happens. And ultimately this add characters to page is still going to get access to character data. So we should still be logging it. We have it. We'll notice this whole object here is character data. And we want to get access to the data property, which has all the stuff inside of it. So, Tony, how can we just log data instead of logging this whole thing?
You're talking about the character data?
Yeah, so this whole thing, this object, is character data, but we just want to log this. How can we do that? here, right here.
I guess I'm not understanding what we're trying to log.
This property data.
Property. Can we just do console log.data? Or
try it. Yeah. What do you mean?
So like right here, we'll just put data in.
Well, what is data?
Data should be the whole thing of character data.
But if we're thinking about JavaScript here, like JavaScript has no idea what data is, right? There's no variable called data. So data is inside of character data. So how do you get access to a property inside of something?
Do we have to use like curly brackets?
Not curly brackets, but think about, so like you have an object, it has a few properties on it, and you want one of those properties, right?
Oh, are you talking about using square brackets and like 0 or whatever?
Well, square brackets is one way, but let me give you an example though, right? So we have person. It has a name, which is CJ, and an age, which is 100. So if I wanted to log the name, what would I have to do?
You do person.name.
Yeah, person.name, exactly. So you know how to do this, you just don't know what I'm asking. But
yeah,
we know. No, it's fine. It's good to like talk about it this way, because character data is an object. Data is a property on that object. So same idea. How do we log data right there?
So we just do .data?
Yeah, do it.
All right.
Awesome. Okay, so we can get rid of the example. That should do it. So now instead of logging the whole thing, now we log this thing. Now we want to get results, which is an array. So what should we log instead?
Just are we calling it with the square brackets?
We still don't have to use square brackets because we know what the property name is. In this case, results.
Oh.
So we just keep dialing down. So just dot results. Inside log get. Okay, now we look at it, and now we get the array. And so this is the array that has all of that info in it that we actually want to add to the page. And this was just really an exercise in like figuring out, okay, you get this big thing back from the API. It has a lot of stuff on it. How do you get down to specifically what you want? And it's really just a matter of figuring out what properties you need, right? Cool, and RabbitWorks JavaScript says nice. Nice. Tony. Specifically. Cool. So we have the array. Now let's iterate over it. How do we iterate over an array in JavaScript, Tony?
With for.
We could use a for loop. What are some other ways to iterate over an array?
We could use while.
We could use a while loop. What is a higher order method that will allow us to iterate over an array?
We could map.
We could map, but we don't necessarily want to create a new array. What's the higher order method that doesn't create something? It just like iterates.
It iterates. For each.
Yeah, for each. This is my break timer. Take a quick stretch. Where's your cat, Jerry? Is he hanging out? Has he come by yet?
Oh, he's actually asleep. I'll show you guys. It's like a little messy on the floor, but.
Oh, look at him. Oh, there's all your pedals.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. I think we can use a for each. And so just a quick callback. This is a while ago. This was months ago, but we actually did a series on higher order methods in JavaScript. If you look at playlists, we used to call this show Newbie Tuesdays. Here it is. So if you go to the Newbie Tuesdays playlist, we did episodes on where are they?
The higher order functions right there.
Yeah, this one. So this first episode was all about like what even are higher order functions. We talked about like the accumulator pattern, and then we talked about for each and map. Next episode we talked about filter, and the last one we talked about reduce. But this is a callback to for each. Essentially, we can call for each on this array, and we have a function that's going to get access to every element in the array. Let's do that. Let's do, so basically this thing that we're logging here, we know it's an array. So on the end of it, we can just do dot for each. So let's do a for each over the results here.
All right, so we're going to do character data.
Dot data, dot results, dot for each. Cool. And in here we can, so we get the result, and we can do like a nice little arrow function and give it a body, and then let's just log the result inside of there now. Awesome. That. Cool. Now let's see what happens. Wait, what do you think will happen, Tony?
We're still going to get the result, but it's going to be like each individual one.
Yeah, exactly. So now instead of one big thing, bam, every single one gets logged to the console. Okay. So ultimately, the thing we want to add to the page is the image. So the way you can think about it is each thing that got logged here is this variable called result, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now we want to log the image. So first, we want to get to thumbnail, right? So how can we just log the thumbnail property of result right there?
We'll just do result.thumbnail.
Yeah, let's do it.
I keep wanting to do it on the screen share thing.
Oh, yeah, because I'm switching back to the browser and you have to look over there. You do have two screens though, right?
I've got 2 screens, but yeah, it's a mess right now. There's windows everywhere.
Cool. Okay, but we're getting there. That should give us the thumbnail, and look at that. So now instead of the big object, we get this thing that has the specific thing, and now we really just want the path to the image because that's what we're going to be adding to the page, right? So how can we just log the path right here?
Do we need to put like the specific path, like the small, medium?
Well, at this point, we just want to access the property. So like putting that like standard medium on the end, that's going to be like separate code. But right now, we just want to get this. How do we get this?
Just dot path?
Yeah.
All right, so dot path.
All right, we're on our way. Look at that. Okay, so we've made it down to the image. And now if we want to end up with a URL like this, we just have to throw like standard medium on the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if we wanted to log that, like, what could we do on line 18 instead of just logging the property? Like, we want. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, can we add it as like a string?
Yeah, exactly. So just like plus, and then throw standard medium JPEG on the end of it. I'm not sure if we're gonna need to add a slash. Let's see. No, we don't. And I think like we could click any one of these and we should get, oh no. Oh yeah, we do have, so notice there's no slash right there. So we do have to add, yeah, you did. Tony, I wasn't even in the browser and you did it. That's awesome. Okay. So, so now if we click on them, yeah, we should get images. Oh, sweet. Cool. So we have these images. Let's actually store it in a variable. So now instead of logging it, let's create a variable called like character image, and let's put that value in there.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I've lost my VS Code.
Did it close or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay. So actually, I'll just catch up on the chat because I haven't not been following it. We've been going deep into it. Cool. People like earlier were suggesting what I could do with my API key. Like I said, I'm gonna leave it the way it is now, but before I push it up to GitHub, I'll essentially create an empty variable where if you want to try out this code, you can just put your API key in. We figured out the promise thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to restart VS Code.
Okay, there's still the link I sent you earlier in Discord. You should still be able to click that to rejoin the session.
Okay.
Cool. And hello, gaming, but not really. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, and Meyer asked earlier, does fetching images or thumbnails count as API calls? I don't think it does because we're not including our API key. And I'm pretty sure like on the actual like Marvel website, it uses those same images in some of its pages. So like if we go to like comics and like go to Spider-Man, yeah, like it's possible to get access to, let's look at this, just look at this image URL. Because I'm pretty sure it uses like the exact same format. Yeah, a very similar format. And this isn't using our API calls because it's just like on the page itself. So I don't think so. I think we should be good there. Um, and hello, Fernando mentions they just discovered our channel a few days ago. It's awesome. Yeah, and some people were mentioning map. So like technically we could use map, but map creates a new array, and we didn't want to create a new array. We just want to iterate over the array, so that's why we used for each. we could have done a for loop. We could have done it like one by one, but I think for each is a good way to go. All right. Okay, Tony, are you back?
For whatever reason, it is not.
You might just have to do the screen share instead of VS Code.
It's weird because it's like it's open, but it's like the window won't pop up.
You might have to pull up like the task manager and kill it.
That's what I try to do.
Okay, how about just check out the screen share for a bit, and like I'll write some code, and then we'll try to figure it out. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so where we were right now is we're logging all of the images, and what I want to do is just put this in a URL instead. So we'll say like character image, and we'll set that equal to that. And then now we actually just want to create an image and add it to the page. So the place we want to put this image is like right here in this main tag that has the class of characters. So in our JavaScript, let's create a variable for basically where the characters are going to go. So can you still see my screen, Tony?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Cool. So I'm going to create a variable called like characters element, and we'll set this to document.query selector. And essentially we want to select this element on the page. So like what selector should we use if we want to get this element in index.html? Can you see me highlighting?
Yeah, I can see highlighting.
Cool.
What selector?
Mm-hmm.
Like for class, like dot.
Yeah, so like if we want this, we would do like dot characters.
Yeah.
Are you able to control it again?
I can't pull open VS Code.
Oh, okay, because like I see your cursor in that file.
Which is weird because it's like
it's like a ghost. Okay, I think live share is still like in beta anyways, so like there's some bugs. Okay, so we have now this characters element, which is basically a reference to that main element on the page, and in here we essentially want to like create an image and then append it to that characters element. Can you control the screen share though, Tony?
Yeah, hold on a second.
Definitely.
No, it's no.
Oh, here we go. Try now.
Okay. What am I typing in here?
Okay, so like on line 20, we want to create basically a new element, which is going to be an image that we're going to append to the page. So let's call this let's call it image element, and we'll set that equal to document.create element. And the way create element works is you pass in a string that is what's the type of element that you want to create. Well, not that. So think about it in terms of like tag names, right? So like what is the tag that has an image inside of it in HTML?
Characters.
Well, no. Like let's say I was hard coding this, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do I add an image to the page in HTML?
With an image tag?
Exactly. So document.create element wants the name of the element, like img. So
okay,
that's what you throw right there. Cool. So that creates an image element, and then now we want to set the image to be this character image here. So we'll do image element dot src. And we want to set the source equal to what? So it's a property, so you want to set it equal to something.
So that should be character image.
Yeah, and do equals, not parentheses.
Ooh. Oh boy.
You got this, Tony. Okay.
All right. So that's going to be character
Character image, yes. And that's because like we literally, like that variable has the URL of the image inside of it, right? And so then we set the source. And now, the moment of truth, we take characters element and we're just going to append image element to that, to the main page. Whoa! Cool. Is this 58 people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times 4 would be 44, 47. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's 55, 6, 7. Okay, there are 58. One thing, if you remember, we don't want to show Thanos, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we need to basically have like a condition to make sure that like if this is not Thanos, don't like if this is Thanos, don't add him to the all of the images there. So I think the way we'll do that, let's just log all of the character data again, because that way we can figure out his ID or something like that, and then just have an if statement to skip it. So we have our data, we have our results. There's Thanos, and he has an ID. So what we can do is result here is that object. So we can say something like if result.id does not equal that, and I think it's a number. Yeah, it's a number. So if it doesn't equal that, then we'll add them to the page. And that way it actually skips Thanos, right? Because everyone else should have a different unique ID. Okay, so now he's not on the page. Very cool. Let's see. I guess we should center the main area too, because right now like there's some space on the right, but
I was going to say, do you want to use flexbox for that?
Let's do it, yeah. And I guess we can make these images. I don't know, yeah, but let's style it. So we have our characters class. Let's use that. And then in our CSS, we'll do characters. I guess we'll give it a display of flex. And what do we want to do? We want to, so right now it has flex direction row by default,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Do we need a space around or space between?
So we could do that. We also need to wrap it. So I think we'll do flex wrap and set flex wrap to wrap. And then we'll most likely do, I think it's justified content space around.
Yeah, I can't ever remember if it's space around or space between for some of these
things. Well, they behave slightly differently, but we'll see what it is. Let's do a quick stretch.
Are we going to put the names under them as well?
We could. We definitely could.
Yeah, because we got a few that don't even have images.
Nice, but so look what this does. It has like a nice little border around each one.
Yeah.
Well, like borders on the edges. I think the only issue here is because we did space around, this bottom row gets like really... oh, I wasn't even at 100%. Okay, so there's that. We probably, like, what if we make the main container fill up the rest of the page, and that way they'll just be spread out in the main container itself?
Okay.
Instead of, like, all this blank space down here. So let's do this. I want the body to have a width of 100 view width and a height of 100 view height, and that should... basically make it so the body takes up the full page, and then let's say characters has a height of 100%, so it should take up the rest. Cool.
Oh god.
Yeah, so but it's stretched our images. I think probably the height we want is like 80%, just so it's not taking up the whole thing. But now we need to target the images specifically because they're stretching out to the entire flexbox instead of maintaining like their aspect ratio. Like technically, well, not technically, but I think because we want to add the character names below them, we probably don't want to just append an image directly, right? We should probably do something like there'll be like a div, And then inside the div is an image, and then inside there's also like an H3 with like the name inside of it, right?
Yeah, we're getting some whatchamacallit, some suggestions for CSS Grid.
We could do that, but Andrew Rogers just donated £20 through Super Chat. Thanks so much. He says, can't stick around, but recently found your channel via Coding Train and wanted to say keep up the good work. I don't usually do much web stuff, mostly C# and Android, but you've motivated me to do more web-based programs. Awesome. Thanks so much, Andrew. Really appreciate that. But yeah, so some people were suggesting grid. I don't know if we want to do that because I just want them to be evenly spaced out in the container. If we do grid, we need to know how many columns there should be and how many rows there should be. Where we could probably figure that out, but it would almost feel like we need to hard code it. So I think we'll stick with flexbox, but we could make it work with like divs, because by using a parent div that has the image and the H3 inside of it, the image will just keep its width and height and it won't be stretched because the div itself is the thing inside of the flexbox. So ultimately what we want to end up with is that. So in our JavaScript, essentially what we need to do is we need to create a div element that we can then append this stuff to. So let's do that here. So can you still type?
Yeah.
Okay, let's create a variable, call it character element. And that's going to be a document.create element, but we want to create a div. Cool. And so we created the div, and then now, instead of appending the image directly to the characters element, we actually want to append the image to the character element, in like the single one that we just created. So let's do character element dot append child image element. It's a character element.
Oops, sorry.
No worries.
That's image element.
Yeah, exactly. And then so after you do that, line 28 is going to change because now we don't want to append the image to all of the characters. What do we want to append instead?
The image, wait.
Yeah, so you kind of have to think about like what variables are we creating here, what's happening here. And remember that, so characters, so plural, characters element refers to this entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
Character element refers to a div element that we just created. Image element refers to an image we just created. So what element do we want to put inside of characters element?
Are we putting... So we're not putting the character element singular in there.
We are.
Oh, we are. Okay.
Yeah, because the idea is... and ultimately what we're doing, so character element, which is a div, would be just like creating a div right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then image element would be like creating an image inside of it. And by appending it to the characters element, it's basically just like doing this, well, with better spacing. But ultimately what that loop is doing is just appending a bunch of divs to this element. Cool. And then and by doing that, you'll notice that it's not stretching the images anymore, because the first children of the flexbox are divs. So the code that we just wrote is actually doing this, right? It's creating a div, it's putting an image element inside of it, and it's taking that div and putting it on characters, which is pretty sweet. But now that we have that, we can put their names on there. So we'll do this. Let's create another element. Let's call it like character
name.
Yeah, character name.
Let's
call it. Well, yeah, we can do it. So yeah, should just be result.name. And then we now want to create another variable that's going to be the element on the page. So something like character name element. We can call it whatever we want, but I'm just trying to be very explicit with like what each of these variables is doing. And so this will be creating an element. So we'll do document.createElement. And we want this to be, I guess we do, yeah, h3. I like that. And then now we want the contents of the h3 to be the character name. So here we'll just say character name element dot text content. And what should we set the text content to be? And it's a property, so you want to use the equal sign.
The character name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we created this name element. Now, where should we put the name element?
Just right underneath it.
So right underneath the image, right?
Right.
And so ultimately, if we append it to the character element, it should appear right below the image because you'll have image then the h3. So right there, do character element dot append child character name element. Okay, let's see what happens. All right, I think they're there. Yeah, the text is just black. So let's set up our styles. Let's say...
You could just do color white.
Yeah, let's do that. And then let's go ahead and do a font family. For now, we'll just do sans serif. Maybe later we can find like a Marvel font or something like that. And honestly, I just want everything to be center. So I'm going to say text align is center even on the body. So that way it'll be centered everywhere. Cool. The only issue here is if they have a really long name, like it pushes the things aside. We could do like a wrap.
I like how I had no idea there was a Marvel character just called Death.
Which one? Oh, Death.
Is that really a character, or is that?
I think so. I was reading earlier about this whole Infinity War story. I think this had something to do with like the reason he did the snap with the gauntlet was to appease someone associated with Death. Like he was trying to gain their favor or something like that. I don't know if that's the right character.
Well,
but...
yeah, there's a part in the movie, and I guess like that went over my head, but like they had Red Skull, was I think Death.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot going on in those movies.
Okay. I think what I'm seeing though is like anything that has a name with parentheses in it is like way too long.
Mm-hmm.
So
why don't we just, if there's parentheses, it
shows what's before it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just given like they're like that's like their real name. Because I mean, like technically, Iron Man would be like Tony Stark.
Mm. Okay. I think we could do this with a regular expression. We'll say like name, replace. We want to replace some parenthesis followed by 0 more of anything, followed by some closing parenthesis with nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
See what happens. Okay, yeah, that's decent.
That'll work.
So anybody that had parentheses in their name, it just like wiped it out. Cool. Let's actually say for our styles, let's only give this a width of like, let's do like 90% just so like there's some space on the sides.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna be right back.
Okay.
Right.
See you soon, Tony. Cool. Okay, the thing about it though is if we give it width 90%, it like shifts over to the right. I think really we could keep it at 100%. Well, we could keep it at 90%, but then make the body a flexbox that has everything centered. I think maybe we'll do that. So let's say here, it's a display flex. We want a flex direction of column, so it goes down. Let's see what this does. Stays the same, but now if we do justify content center, it should, not that center. We'll do align item center. It should shift it center. Cool. So now it's happening. Essentially, we have a little bit of space on the sides. Like, it should be fairly responsive, where, like, the smaller it gets, there's, like, still space on the sides. Cool. I like that. Let's just close all this extra stuff for now. Awesome. I think that's decent. Let's look back at our checklist. So we're showing all of the images on the page. The next part is to play some dramatic music because the snap is about to happen. But I'll catch up on the chat now. There's so many people watching today. I really appreciate it. But it just means that I can't exactly keep up with all the chat messages that are happening. Una Catfish says, has Tony tried switching it off and back on again? I think he tried like 5 times to switch it back up, off and back on again. And I'm honest, I'm looking at the chat at random, so if I missed a question that you had, I'm sorry about that. But I do see here, Dax is asking, is for each faster than for or just more practical? I'd say it's probably more practical. At the end of the day, you typically might not even need to worry about the performance of for each versus a for loop because they're so similar. And Tony is, are you back, Tony?
No. Yes, yeah.
Okay. Cool. I'm just catching up on the chat. You can see I did something with the styles here. Like, I basically made it so there's like some space on the edge too, which is cool.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, for each, I think there have been comparisons between like a regular for loop and for each. For loops are probably faster because it doesn't have to do function calls. Regardless, you probably don't need to worry about that in your front end code, and it's more practical. Something
I just thought of. Mm-hmm. I think so. On our page, we have technically like a little bit of an error, like Avengers and I think X-Men. They are groups of characters, right? And so, and like Fantastic Four. And, yeah, and so like I think those groups we should remove. You think so? Yeah, because like for example, let's say it wipes out Fantastic Four, but it decides that Human Torch is still there, like that. Oh, because he's in the okay. And I think everyone that was in the Avengers is represented, or not. Well, I mean, I think some of them are. Like Iron Man and Captain America are in the Avengers. Is Captain America there? Okay, so there's Captain America, and there's Iron Man. Okay. That's the only groups that I see anyway. And then like Wolverine. Okay, so like okay. I think we can do that. We'll get like the IDs of the of those groups, so that way we don't show them and don't try to kill them either. Because that does make sense. Like if you remove the Avengers, but then one person from the Avengers is still showing, like doesn't make sense. Okay. Everyone's telling me to use CSS Grid. Okay, let's just see what would happen. So we're saying in the characters here, instead of display flex, we'll just do display grid. Let's just see what that does. Okay, so now we have like one big row. We could do grid gap. 16 pixels is what Robin is recommending. But now we need to tell it like how many rows there are and how many columns there are, don't we? So like essentially each one is taking up a row. Let's look up CSS Grid on CSS Tricks. They have a really good article on it. So we're doing display grid. We have to give it a grid template for columns and rows. Mm-hmm. I guess basically we can say like it should always have. Here's the thing though. This is why I think it's not a good case for grid because. Oh wait, I was looking at an old chat anyways. Grid template column 6. Let's just see what happens. But this is probably why I think this is not a good candidate, and you'll see. Okay, grid template
column 6. And so that should take up 6 columns. Let's see. Only need to specify column. So main, this says it's wrong. Is it something like that? What's grid template columns? Okay, you need, let's see what the properties are for grid template columns. I don't know, but listen to me, all you people out there. Like, this is why I think this...
Kaizen's saying you only need column. Like, just try column.
Okay. Grid template column, and then you... okay.
I think just type column.
I don't think so. So basically, we tell it... Oh, and actually, I think there is a repeat. We could do repeat 1 fraction 6 times, I think. Let's go back to this. There's 6 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. But look at this. Now we got to do this, right? And then we'd have to do like, and like the bigger it goes, like that's why I think I like it the way we had it, because depending on the screen size, it automatically adjusts without any extra code, right? So if we do display flex, flex wrap, and justify content, now it's totally adaptive, right? No matter the screen size, you're still going to be able to see all characters without having to scroll. Yeah? That's why I think we should use flex. So there's probably a way to do it with grid as well, but you would need like media breakpoints that decide like when the screen is smaller, have less columns, that kind of thing.
Maybe that would be like our stretch thing, is just make this work and look pretty with stretch.
Yeah, potentially.
Or
we're saying grid can do that too. We're gonna stop talking about grid now. Let's all agree to stop talking about grid till maybe the end. Okay, where are we at in the checklist? So we're showing all of the images of the characters. That's great. One thing I wanted to do was play some dramatic build-up music, because the death of half the universe is about to happen. Although we just we did say that we wanted to get rid of these groups of people. Let's do that first. Let's give us a check mark to keep track of that. We'll say don't show groups. So the ones we found were Avengers, the X-Men. Who else was there?
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four. So Avengers, Fantastic Four.
It's the only groups I see.
Okay, X-Men. Cool. So those are the ones we care about. Let's log all of the data again so we can get access to their IDs. So now we can look at the console and we can find the IDs of all those people. So we wanted Avengers. Their ID is that. Let's just store that here for now. We wanted the X-Men. Their ID is that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We wanted the Fantastic Four should be the last one, right? And their ID is that. Cool. So we have these IDs of all the hidden people. Let's like put this in an array, and then we can just check to see if their ID is not in the array. Actually, let's say let's do this. We'll say hidden characters. We'll make it an object. So it'll have these keys, and then just each one is set to true. And then right here, instead of this if statement, we'll just say if
hidden characters
at result.id. So if it's not in there, then show the character. There we go. So that will hide. It hides Thanos. It hides X-Men. It hides Avengers. All those other ones. Cool. Making progress. Julian actually does have a suggestion for. Actually, okay. I do like this suggestion though. This is the last time we'll talk about grid. So
if it doesn't work.
If it doesn't work, we're moving on. Display grid and then grid template columns is autofit, which I actually like that. So do repeat auto-fit 100 pixels. Okay. Yeah, I like that. What do you think, Tony? It's like a lot more.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, it's a lot more evenly spaced. And then there was a there was something earlier for like grid gap that Robin recommended. Let me see if I can find it like in this CSS tricks. Is it gap? Yeah, grid column gap, and you can specify how many pixels. Let's do like 16 pixels. Yeah. And so they always have a good amount of spacing. Cool. We'll allow it. Tony allows it, I allow it. So instead of grid column gap, grid gap, because that grid gap I think will handle like rows and columns. Yeah. Okay. All right. You guys won me over with the CSS grid. What do you think of that, Tony?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Looks good. Yeah, it's cool. Okay. All right. We're there. We're on our way. We're not showing the groups. Now let's play some dramatic music. So I will show really quick the music that I found, this royalty-free music. So there's this one, which is Dramatic Swarm. I found this on YouTube, like royalty-free music. Let's just let this play for a second. Okay, so that's the idea. When the page loads, this dramatic music is playing because it's just waiting for you to bring balance to the universe. And then I have another sound effect of like when he snaps his fingers. That's going to be this one. Okay, so that's the snap of his fingers. And then we have the Funeral March by Chopin, which will be like the sad music as all of the characters start to fade out. Okay, so that's the plan. And I have all of those in this sounds folder. I'm just going to drag those into here. Let's actually rename them too. Let's call this like intro. And let's just call this funeral. And let's call this one snap. Okay. So we have our MP3 files. And really, we want to create an audio element, and then we'll just set the source whenever we want to play a specific thing. So let's do this. Let's create a variable here, Tony. Let's just call it audio element. No, and actually we can just do new audio. Capital one, like that. And I think we actually just want to pass in the URL. So I think you can just say intro.mp3 right there. And it might start auto-playing, so save that. Or we might have to do like .play. Okay, so we'll save this. If we go to the browser, let's see what happens. not found. Oh, it's sounds / intro.mp3. Okay, so it doesn't start playing. I think we can just do, let's actually
Dot
create.
play.
Yeah, so audio element. My editor should help me. Dot play. Okay, you hear it? So the page loads. It's this dramatic music. I'm gonna stop it for now, just so we don't have to hear it all the time. So that's awesome. We're playing the dramatic music. Now, so earlier I had like the balance the universe button. I think we'll just have when you click the Thanos button is when we'll show like the snap. So Thanos button. Let's do some styles here. So let's give this image tag. Let's just give it an ID of Thanos. That way we can target it in our CSS and in our JavaScript. In our CSS, let's just do some simple styles that say, like, when you hover over Thanos, make it scale like 1.5. So let's say Thanos hover, transform scale like 1.5. So like when you hover over it, it should get bigger, and then we'll also do, let's say like cursor is pointer. So yeah, now like when you hover over him, he gets bigger and you can like click on him. Nice. I mean, we might want to do like a translate Y just to like bring it down. Is that not a right thing? I'm gonna leave that off. Oh, I think that's good enough. What do you think, Tony?
That works.
Okay, and so then we can click him. That is when I want to fade in this image, because it's like it's from the comic of him like doing the snap thing. Mm-hmm. So let's just throw this in the client folder, and we'll show it on the page, and then like basically center it in the middle of the page because we want it to like fade in. So let's just say, like right below the main, let's add an image tag there. So let's do image, and then the source will just be snap.jpg. Cool. And by default, it should just be, yeah, there's this big image down there. Let's say let's give it, we'll give it an ID because we're going to use it in JavaScript and in CSS. So we'll give it an ID of snap. When the page loads, well, not when it loads, but just by default, let's set its width to be like 60%. And actually, we want the whole height to show. So let's say like height is like 70%, and the width will be auto. Let's see if we can see it in there. Yeah, look at that. So essentially what I want is, I want that to fade in, because right now it's like hiding the things behind it. But this is my break timer. Let's take a quick stretch. I'm getting suggestions for a transition, and then also like showing a shadow. I want to do all of those things, but I want to just like get this working. So let's do a little bit bigger height. Let's do like 80%. Let's do like 90%.
Can we give that like a little bit of
opacity?
It's like a margin, so we can kind of keep it up there at the top.
I think that's might be how we do it. Like margin.
Like 100 pixels.
Negative 100 pixels. I don't know if that's gonna work. Like, because right now it's being positioned like the parent is a flexbox. Oh, we might be able to do like align self flex start. Yeah, so that puts it, because it's, let's see. So the parent itself is a flexbox. And we did align self. We can also do like justify self flex start. Because we do kind of want it at the top. There's all kinds of suggestions in the chat.
While we display this, can we just kind of like make everything in the background like kind of have like some opacity?
Definitely. That's the plan. I kind of want to just get it working, but yeah, then we can work on like, okay, fade this out, give it some opacity, that kind of stuff. But let's just see, like, if we do give this a negative margin, I don't think if it will affect it because it's actually inside of a flexbox right now. Yeah, we could do, I don't even think we can do like top. Yeah, it's inside of a flexbox. We could like fixed position it. I don't know. Let's stay here. Okay. So ultimately what we want is we don't want to show this snap image until we click Thanos, right? So the idea is click Thanos, the snap image appears, we play the snap sound, and then people start to disappear. So let's get that working.
So should we have it hidden, like by default?
Definitely. So in our HTML, we have an ID of snap. So in our JavaScript, let's get access to that element. So here, let's just say like snap element. Create a variable called snap element. Set it equal to document.querySelector of ID snap. So yeah, but you'll need to put it in quotes. Okay. So we'll just say like when the page loads, we'll say snap element display is none. So we'll do right here, snap element.style.display is none. Okay, so when the page loads, you shouldn't be able to see it. But now when we click this thing, we want to show it. So let's get access to the Thanos element so we can listen for when it's clicked on. So create a variable, let's call it Thanos element. And this will be, again, query selector, but now we want to do ID Thanos. Cool. And now we want to listen for when this thing is clicked on. So let's just do that here. So we'll say Thanos element dot add event listener. And we'll say
on click.
Well, in quotes, just say click. And give it a callback function. We can do like an arrow function. Yep, but don't forget the parens. So when Thanos is clicked, we want to actually show the snap element. So we're just going to do the reverse of this. And actually, let's do opacity because we could actually allow it to fade in. So let's do opacity is
0 or?
Yeah, so opacity should not show it, and then opacity 1 should show it. So when we click him, it's instant, but we could also do what is it? Is it like a transition?
Ease in.
Yeah, we want to say something like I have to look this up because there's a few properties, but basically we can say transition on any property that gets changed. So when it goes from 0 to 1, change it. And actually, let's just say like transition duration.
We'll set that to like a couple of seconds.
Yeah, let's see what happens. 1 second. Yeah, you see that? Okay,
yeah,
let's do like 4 seconds.
And then we have our dramatic, or the snap of sound effect or whatever.
Yeah. So this is gonna. Okay. Here's the idea. When it gets clicked, again, we're gonna work on the style so it like shows up in the middle. But this clicks, it fades in over 4 seconds, and then you hear the snap sound, all the music stops, and then people start dying. So,
can we have them die like one at a time?
I think so. And we just got a super chat from Surya Prasad. $2. Thank you very much. It says, is there a way to get the contributor name pairing? Not exactly sure what you mean by that. We have talked about it in the past. Like, Tony is pretty much the only person that I've paired with on stream, and it's only because we've known each other for many, many years, since like 5th grade. Clarify what you mean by that. But yeah, I'll try to answer. Okay. And then you mentioned like we want them to fade out like one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll get to that. But what we'll do right here is basically we'll do like a set timeout to wait. Let's wait like 5 seconds to then kill the music and then play the snap sound.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do a set timeout. We'll do it in 5 seconds. In 5 seconds, we want the audio element to like stop playing. Or we'll probably do like pause. And I think we'll do audio element. Is there like time? Current time. We'll set it back to 0. So in 5 seconds, the music will stop. We'll set the current time to 0. We'll set the source to be the snap sound. And then we'll play it. Like that. And then we'll also, and after it's played, we'll fade out the snap image. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, so the page loads. Okay, there's dramatic music. All right, and what should happen is we click this, it fades in.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's decent. I think we could probably wait not as long. I mean, probably just do like 4 seconds because I think it took a little bit too long. Maybe even like 3. Because it's going to have to fade out when it plays. Okay. Dramatic music. And then people start dying. I think we're getting there, Tony. Okay. Got the Thanos button. We're fading in the image. Maybe that's a stretch goal. I don't feel so good. We played the snap sound. We're hiding the snap image. Now it comes down to actually start killing these people. So we want to start the the funeral march music. So we start. This will play the snap sound, and I think like we'll say. Actually, let's see what is the duration of the snap sound.
I think it's like a second, or not even. Technically 2 seconds.
Yeah, okay. So, alright, I'm gonna stop this from playing when the page loads. Okay, so let's just say, okay, stop the dramatic music, play the snap sound, then in 2 seconds, start playing the funeral march music and start killing off the people.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll say, yeah, we'll do another set timeout. In 2 seconds, we need to set the current time. Well, basically we need to do this. Pause it, time back to 0. We'll do the funeral song, start playing it, and then we need to call a function that's going to kill off like half of the people. So let's say balance
universe.
Yeah, balance the universe. And then we'll have another function down here called like balance universe, and we'll start to implement this, but like hide 50% of images. Okay, let's just see if the interaction is there. Okay, dramatic music. Yes. Perfect. Cool. This is gonna be.
This may be the most ridiculous stream. I thought that the one we did where we had the clipboard thing that made the elephant sound was
Oh, yeah.
pretty ridiculous, but
This is fun though. Okay, so now we need to balance the universe. I think the one thing is we don't have access to the characters, but technically we could just select all of the images on the page. So like, I think one thing we'll do is like when we create this character div, let's give it a class name. So like character element dot class name, and we'll just set that equal to character singular. Because then later on we can select everything by the character class and just like start hiding them. Yeah. So now when we balance the universe, we need to select all the things that have the character class. So right here, just do, let's create a variable. Let's call it like characters. And set that equal to document.querySelector all, because we want to get all of them, not just one. Query selector all. Just like query selector all, like that. And we'll pass in the character class, so like dot character. Yeah, but don't forget the period. So that's going to give us all of the characters. We need to get half of them. I mean, do we need to get half of them? I want to see these things to start to disappear, though.
yeah, it's like so we gotta like basically have a function that randomly selects them, but only 50% of them.
Okay. Let's do this. So let's say we have a variable. We'll call it left to die, and we'll we'll set that equal to characters.length divided by 2, because we want to get rid of half of them, right?
Right.
And I think this is my break timer if you want to take a quick stretch. So we'll math.floor this so that it's a whole number. But what the way I'm thinking of this is we just have a while loop that grabs a random indice and then removes it and decrements left to die. So this while loop just runs, and really we wanted them to disappear at different rates. We don't want all of them to disappear all at once. Mm-hmm. So I think this will help us with that. One thing I'll do is I'll turn this into an array, so that way we can like start to remove things from it. So we'll spread the query selector all into an array. So now characters is just a regular plain old array. So it has things like slice and splice and for each and stuff like that. So we have left to die. I think we want to create a function that says like, we'll say like kill. We'll pass in the characters. We'll pass in the number that are left to die. And now we have this function kill that takes in characters, takes in how many are left to die, and basically we'll say like if left to die is greater than 0, then we'll like do the killing.
Oh my god.
Otherwise, it's done. And so what I'm thinking is, like, to do the killing is we need to get a random character out of this array. So, like, let's create a variable called, like, character to kill. I mean, I guess we don't have to be as what's the word? Morbid. We could just say
character chosen.
Yeah, do that. So create a variable called character chosen. And
You die.
no, just character chosen. So character chosen, and then we want to grab a. Well, actually, we're gonna get a random index. So let's just say, yeah, let's call it. First, we'll do random index, and this is gonna be math.floor of math.rand, so invoke it, and then inside the invocation do math.random times characters.length. Cool, and math.random is a function, so we need to invoke that. So this should give us a random index to kill. We will then remove that character out of the array. So let's say character chosen will be characters dot splice or splice. I think splice will let us remove. So we want to remove at that random index. We want to remove one character there. And
hold on.
Oh, you forgot the end. I forgot the end.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I'm on. There you go.
Cool. So this grabs the character. Splice itself will give you back an array of everything that was removed. So we just want to grab like the first one. And then now we will actually hide that element. So we'll do like character chosen, I don't know, dot display is none. Let's just get this working. So character display none. And then in 1 second, call this function again to kill the next character. So we'll do like set timeout of 1 second. We're going to call kill again. We're going to pass in characters. And we're going to pass in left to die -1. Okay, let's see it happen.
But we got to set the music.
Yeah, okay, start the music. Okay, dramatic music. Also, I want to open the... I mean, we haven't really checked our code. I think it should work. Are people disappearing? I don't know. How can we should do some logging.
It can't like log it as it happens.
Yeah, okay. Stop that for a second. Okay. So left let's log here. Balancing universe. Begin killing. We'll do left to die.
And that'll show who's selected.
Well, this will show how many we're going to kill. I think that might be our error right now. Like, this maybe isn't selecting anything. Like, this may not have worked, but let's see. So, this is going to be how many are left to die, and then every time we kill someone, we'll just log who we're killing. So,
do we have an even number right now?
We don't, which is why I'm doing math.floor. So,
okay,
length,
round up.
Oh, round down. So,
round up.
Yeah, length divided by 2, rounded down. And then here, we're going to log who we're killing. I guess we don't have the character... Actually, I think we could probably do this. Character chosen dot query selector. Find the h3 inside of it and grab its text content. Okay, let's see what happens. uh, 27 characters. Okay, yeah, it's killing them.
Are we changing their display?
We are. This is totally wrong. So I think so. We found our bug. But so the issue is this should be style.display equals none. Okay, so here we go. Oh, we're not playing the music. Okay, moment of truth, Tony. Here it comes. Okay,
oh god! Oh no! Oh no!
So it's one at a time. They're just hiding. Now we can add like CSS transitions to make them like gradually disappear.
Oh man. Wait, is it getting rid of all of them?
27. There's 27 of them that it needs to get rid of. Okay, it's done now.
Oh man.
And so then we can show a message like balance has been brought to the universe. Okay. Awesome. Okay, I think we're there. So really what we need to do is we could initially have the opacity of the div be, I think initially it is 1. And we want it to go to 0. The only issue with that is actually let's try this. Let's say the character element dot style dot visibility. Well, okay. I don't know. Let's say opacity is 1. And then whenever we kill it, instead of just saying display none, we'll set opacity to 0. This will be character chosen. And then now the character class should have another like transition property, transition duration of like 1 second. So this will work. The only issue is it's going to leave blank spots wherever that character was, because we're only changing the opacity. We could technically like do a set timeout and then in 1 second change display to none so that that section closes up. And actually, no, let's do the. I have it. Okay, so instead of style.opacity, let's do a transform. So let's say style.transform is going to have a scale of 1. And then whenever we kill it, we'll set the scale to 0. So it should like shrink. All right. Show the audio element. Okay, here we go.
Oh man.
You see that?
That's awesome.
I think so. What do you think, Tony? Like, do you like the blank spaces being left there? And then, like,
yeah, I think the blank spaces kind of really let you realize like how many have gone.
Okay, and then what about once everyone's is gone, then we just like
we could have like
everything come back up to the top.
Yeah, we could have everything come back up to the top, and then maybe have like an alert.
Okay, let's do it. So let's do this. Let's say character chosen. Let's give it a class name of like dead. So like we know which elements on the page are now dead.
So basically, after we're done killing them, like it slices the dead ones from the array.
Or we could actually just set all of their display to none, so that way everything just like goes back up to the top. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess here's what I'm thinking. When you initially create the character,
they're alive.
Yeah. So like they have a class name of like character alive, and then here we'll say character chosen dot, I think it's remove dot class list dot remove alive, and then we'll do a class list of add dead. I think that's how it works. I might have to look this up. Yeah, then down here is hide all dead. Let's just see what happens. Let's see if we get any errors in the console. And we can actually watch this happen in the DOM too. Like, okay, we've got, okay. Well, there's no music, but.
There's no startup music anyway.
Oh yeah, so notice the class list on this one has character dead instead of character alive. So that did work.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. This is hilarious. Okay. Okay, so now we want to hide all of the dead. Let's just say document.query selector all. So let's get all of them that died. And
display.
For each, so we have to do for each one, so each character. And instead of doing display none, I think if we do height 0, width 0, it should nicely like move everything to the top instead of just being like instant. So like character dot style dot height is 0 pixels, and the same thing with its width. Okay. Moment of truth. I want to like show them all on the page. Press F to pay respects in the chat.
Do you know what that's from?
It's from Call of Duty. Yeah, I looked it up the other day.
Okay.
We might have gotten an error.
It looked like some of them kind of fix themselves.
Well, I guess really what we want is like, do we see that a dead character has, yeah, it does have height 0, width 0. But I think because of CSS grid, because the element is still there, it technically leaves the space for it. So yeah, we would actually want to remove it. Removes the element at the specified index from the options.
The chat's just filling up with Fs.
Okay, I gotta stop this music.
It's kind of weird. The full funeral theme kind of like gets a little more upbeat later on.
Oh, does it? Well, I mean, we're not gonna. I think we'll have to use remove. Yeah, we'll have to use remove child. So we can say and here instead of setting height 0, width 0, we'll just say characters element dot remove child character. Okay. I think this is gonna do it, Tony. Like I wanna call this like our last demo of it. We've been streaming for a little over 2 hours. There's a lot more we could do with CSS styles and stuff like that, but I think this is the winner.
I think this is really this turned out a lot better than I even imagined it, because I thought like it's simple, but I was like it's not gonna be really fun, but then we did it. It's great.
Okay, so I think what I'll have right here is what is it? Balance has been restored in the universe or something?
Yeah. Balance has been restored.
And let's give this an ID of like...
the truth.
Oh, the truth. Okay. And so initially, that will be hidden, but then after all the characters are dead, we remove them, and then we'll show this message.
I love that as just like a meta thing. The truth is initially hidden.
Okay, so let's say the truth.
No, okay, yeah, document.
Document.query selector. Did we give it an ID or a class?
I think you said the truth ID.
Yeah, ID is the truth. Okay, so we'll initially have this hidden.
The truth is out there.
The truth is hidden. And then after we remove all of them, we'll say display is... Actually, let's do opacity again, because then it'll just fade in. Balance has been restored. So opacity will be 1. It starts off at 0. No, not that. And in our CSS, we'll say the truth has another, like, also transition duration of 2 seconds. Okay.
Witness me.
Witness me. All right, are you ready, Tony? We're gonna let this play out. We're gonna listen to the music. This is gonna be great. All right, let's do it. All right, here we go. Actually, do you want to do the honors, Tony?
I would love to.
Okay, click Thanos.
I love that the text like disappears too.
Yeah.
Like it's just like into oblivion.
Because it's because of the scale transform.
Yeah.
All right, press F to pay respects one last time.
Death cannot be killed.
Oh, it shows up right there. Ugh. I think that's okay, technically. I think here we'll put this H3 inside the header so that way it actually does show up. And I think initially let's not hide it. Because it should, yeah, because then it'll show up there. All right, I think we've done it.
The day coding garden went too far. I think the funeral music was such a great choice.
Thank you very much. There's actually like really dramatic music in the actual movie, but I didn't want to get like a copyright strike.
Right.
Yes!
Death cannot be killed, man. I'm telling you.
Oh, he hasn't died yet?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, wow. Okay, that was great. All right, let's do like a quick recap of what we did. Maybe we'll add like stretch or like potential like issues we can throw in the GitHub repo. So if other people want to contribute to this, make the styles prettier and stuff, they can do that. But yes, let's review what we have done, Tony. So kind of like walk me through what we did in the HTML here.
So our HTML here is pretty, we're just basically doing normal stuff where we're linking to our JavaScript and CSS. We have our main ID of Thanos, which is basically like probably like the only thing that kind of remains static, but when you hover over him, you get some classes or some changes in CSS applied to him. We have our other element of the truth that gets basically hidden until we go through our whole function. And then we have our characters, which are filled with our data pulled from the API.
Right. And so like we have all these elements in our JavaScript that are each of the elements on the page selected like when the page loads. And the way we're doing like CSS transitions here are just like setting our opacity to none, so that way when we set it to 1, it will like fade in because we have a transition duration. We also start up like that like dramatic building music at the beginning. Here's our function. We talked about it earlier, but essentially it gets all of the characters, but after it gets them, it stores them in local storage so that the next time you load the page, it doesn't have to get all of the characters. Can you explain what we did with hidden characters here?
Basically, we have said that if characters have the ID that is associated with Thanos or the group character lists, we're going to hide those.
Right. And then we have our function here, add characters to page. So this is like after we get the data back from the API or we load it in, we essentially iterate over, make sure that it's not hidden, and then add an image with the name of the character to the page as well, and give it some initial styles so that way when we potentially kill that character, it'll do like a fade out, it'll scale down to nothing. And then let's can you explain what's going on in this click function, Tony?
Okay, so we're basically saying on click
of what?
Of our Thanos element, we're saying that our snap image
which is this.
It has an opacity of 1, so it fades in, and then it's gonna play our sound effect, and then it's gonna fade back out, and then it'll call our function of balancing the universe while the funeral music plays.
And like right before that happens, so we start the funeral music, and then we start balancing the universe. And so the way this works is first we select all of the characters on the page, and the idea is initially we have an array with all of the characters, and then we gradually remove one from the array at a time until we have removed the number that we decide. So it's basically half of the universe, so we take that array length divided in 2, and we have this function that we essentially call every second to remove a character from the array. And so to remove it, we grab a random index. We then pull it out of the array by splicing it. We set these styles. So we set transform scale to 0. That's what makes it like shrink into the distance. And then we give it a dead class so that after everything is done, we remove all of them from the page so that way we can show a message. And essentially that kills that character by shrinking them. And then in 1 second, it calls this function again to kill one more. And every time the number left to die goes down by 1. And by the end of it all, left to die is 0. And when left to die is 0, we show the truth message at the end. That was fun, Tony. We've done it.
That was pretty cool.
All right, and I realize the chat has been blowing up. But let's answer the question. So from the super chat that happened a bit ago by Asteria, they're asking, can we get the actual contributor's name in the git commit while pairing like this? Sorry for the vague super chat. You could do that with git pair. I don't know if VS Code LiveShare has that built in, but I think might be something else I have to install. Is there a git pair? There is a thing called git pair, and essentially that allows you to put two people's names on a commit. That's a Ruby thing. It's possible. I haven't actually done it before. Minimal bash script for pair committing. I think you can do something like add contributors to a specific commit. But as far as I know, I don't think LiveShare has that built in to it. Thanks for asking. Sorry it took so long to answer. All right. Himanshu says it's 3 a.m. there. Thanks for staying up. That was fun. Yeah, so someone mentioned you can add a co-author. Let's just search for that, like git co-author. How to attribute a single commit to multiple developers. One solution would be set the name in pair. A git convention to use co-authored by at the end of the commit message. Using Bazaar. Using git pair, which comes from Pivotal. Git mob. It's possible. I guess it's not built in. Cool. People saying awesome stream. Go. Great. Okay. All right, Tony. Any last words? Anything you learned today? Any takeaways from today? Let's just do it. We'll do it one more time for the fun of it, because this is pretty fun.
I think it's kind of I don't really think of anything like super new and foreign. It was just like kind of taking some stuff we've done before and kind of just doing it together. Like I always like the things that we do that have sound.
Right. It's always fun. It was anything like harder than or easier than you thought it might be?
Yeah, I guess for some reason I thought that the math, like whatever the function was that was going to like divide everything in half, I thought that was going to be a lot more complicated.
It ended up being pretty decent. Oh, so I just deployed this. So what I'm going to do is add this as a domain, which can call my API. I'm deploying it so everyone in the world can try it out.
You only get 3,000 calls on that.
That's true. I do have 6,000 subscribers, so they may run out. I don't know.
Only half of them get to use this.
It's 3,000 per day. I don't think 3,000 people are going to watch it today.
Yeah.
Or use the
app I'm just saying that that's so fitting.
Just a second.
Is it still reading the characters from?
Yeah. So that was the issue. Like, because I hadn't had it set up yet, it tried to read them from local storage when the page first loaded. Okay. So if you want to visit the app, it's thanossnap.now.sh. And the initial page load actually does take a while because it needs to request all of that data. We probably should have showed like a loading image or something like that. I'm gonna wait for this to load.
Thanos-snap.
Thanos-snap.now.sh. There we go. Okay, so all the characters have loaded. It might actually take that long on your computer too, because their API is a little slow for getting all of this data.
No, mine loaded pretty fast.
Okay. Now we'll try it.
Death cannot be killed.
I think Death... Oh, no, Death is still alive on mine. We'll see.
Yeah, I've yet to see him die on any of these.
Yeah, Death did not die on mine. Okay.
Not on mine either.
That was awesome. Thanks so much, Tony. This was super fun. Initially, I think it was like it was your idea a bit to do this, right?
Yeah, I think you asked last time like what we should do, and I asked if there was a Marvel API.
Yeah, so that was fun. You can build all sorts of like really cool things with this, because they have like comic book information. Like I've seen people that have done almost like a comic book store on the web just using the data from their comic book API, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I think that's it. Thanks everyone for watching. And yeah, Robin is mentioning an issue that I have kind of been glossing over, but if you load that webpage, the music actually won't start because the user hasn't interacted with the page. So maybe we have a button. I want to end the stream now, but the issue, like if you open the DevTools and then refresh the page, it will work. That's the issue right now. But the funeral music will page even though you don't interact.
Same thing with the snap.
And the snap will play because you interacted with the page. So if we do this, and you do, yeah, the music starts. Okay. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. That was super fun. There were so many of you watching. It was really hard to keep up with the chat, but I do appreciate everyone for tuning in. Shout out to everyone that did a super chat. Let me just call those out really quick because you are all great and awesome, and I appreciate you. Any last words, Tony? I keep stalling. I keep saying we're gonna end. We don't end. I don't know.
I don't feel so good.
You don't feel so good? What do you mean?
I'm fading out.
Well, that's super fun though. Cool. Shout out to Jose with the €2 super chat. Shout out to Andrew with a 20-pound super chat, and shout out to Syria with the $2 super chat. Not required, much appreciated. You all are great. Yes, awesome. Tony and I talked about doing a noodle quest tomorrow. I don't know if either of us are going to have it in us, but we might just do a stream where we don't exactly have a plan like we did this, and we just figured things out.
Yeah, like I think maybe like tomorrow evening, a little later.
Yeah.
Doing some musical practice tomorrow.
Okay. But keep an eye out on the channel. You'll see, if I do schedule a live stream, you'll see it pop up there.
Yeah, if you guys aren't in the Discord, you should be. Lots of cool stuff there.
Definitely. So all kinds of help channels. There's like the live channel. There's probably some chat happening in there. Oh, somebody's mentioning a really cool shattering animation. I actually found this earlier, but I didn't want to get too complicated. CSS grid wrapping. Cool. Check out the Discord. Thanks for tuning in. Any last words, Tony?
No, I think I'm at nosebleed 10.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. Here's this.